Hello, good evening. You're watching Gami Radiant Television Services, and this is the news also coming up. Putting culinary skills to test, the first ever nationwide national traditional Gambian cooking competition ends in the president's home village of Kanilai, with many winners going home with hefty cash prizes. Participants from various sectors in the country's higher education meet to devise ways of improving skills development among the country's teeming youth population. Turkey's NATO allies threw their weight behind Ankara's bold offensive against Islamic State militants days after President Recep Tayyip Erdogan's government began air raids against ISIS targets and on areas controlled by Kurdish fighters in Iraq and Syria. Plus, rattling the war rhetoric, North Korea's reclusive leader Kim Jong-un warns the United States of severe consequences as the communist state marks 52 years since the end of the Great Korean War. Well, these and other stories coming ahead in the next 30 minutes. Well, good to have you with us, and I am Fatijan Mbai. The Royal President, His Excellency Sheikh Professor Al-Haji Dr. Yahya A.J.J. Jammeh Babili Mansa has received a congratulatory message from Keba Touré, Gambian ambassador to the Kingdom of Morocco, and the message reads, Your Excellency, on behalf of the staff of the embassy in Rabat, my family, and on my own behalf, I convey to Your Excellency and your family well wishes and prayers on the occasion of Eid al-Fitr. May Allah the Almighty accept our prayers during the holy month and to continue to shower His abundant blessings on the Gambian people and nation. On this holy occasion, I pray for your good health, continued leadership, and fulfillment of your desired development goals for the Gambia. Your Excellency, whilst once again saying Dewenati, please accept the assurances of my highest consideration and loyalty. The message ends. Well, the president's home village of Kanilai Monday played host to the maiden traditional Gambian cooking competition organized as part of celebrations marking the 21st anniversary of the glorious July 22nd revolution. The competition accorded participants from across the country the opportunity to showcase their culinary skills in efforts to promote and revive the Gambia's rich cuisine. Mamadou Jallo tells us more.
To prepare the dishes of their choice. The national event, sponsored by the President, His Excellency Sheikh Professor Al-Haji Dr. Yahya Jammeh Babili Mansa, as part of events marking the 21st anniversary of the July 22nd Revolution. Ajab Binta Jammeh Sidibe, the Vice Chairperson of the National Organizing Committee, believes such an important national competition augurs well for the country's socio-cultural development.
This cooking competition, it goes beyond only a competition. It goes into our women's empowerment. Men having sympathy for their wives, for their children, so that we become equal partners. And everything that we do, if we want the society to change, we have to start from the homes, and then we move on to the society, and then to the general community. The attitudes will change, and then we eat our healthy foods, and that is also an attitude. That's why we have some of these diseases like diabetes, hypertension, and all sorts of diseases that we don't know about. So that is why this time we have disallowed certain kinds of things that we normally cook with, like this jumbo, which we know is not healthy. So they are trying to demonstrate and cook healthy food.
The competition attracted more than 65 participants who were selected after excelling in the regional competitions. Most of them expressed gratitude to the President for such an unprecedented opportunity to showcase their culinary skills and promote traditional cuisine, most of which is slowly giving way to foreign foods. They believe that with such a competition at the highest level, this would motivate the younger generation to appreciate their socio-cultural heritage. After a delicate and painstaking process of cooking, the stage was finally set to select the best among the lot. Despite the heavy rains all afternoon, the hundreds of students and other members of the public were able to get a taste of all the dishes before voting for the food of their choice.
As at now, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin, everybody is happy. It was very hot and now it is raining. We are very glad because this is the rainy season. This is what we are advocating, is we eat what we grow what we eat. This is our African diets. Kids are here testing the diets, different types of diets. You have benachin, you have super kanja, you have domada, you have plazas, and you have mbahal findi, cherry, etc., as you know. But everybody is happy here, especially the Vice President of the Republic of the Gambia. And we are very pleased with our President, Dr. Yahya A.J.J. Jammeh, who is the Babili Mansa and who is the Balafa Mansa.
The Vice President and Minister of Women's Affairs Her Excellency Ajah Dr. Aissatou Njie Seydi, representing the President, paid glowing tributes to the Gambian leader for initiating such an important event, which will go a long way in reviving and promoting the Gambia's socio-cultural culinary traditions.
It's really laudable for the simple reason that we can achieve several objectives. One of them is to help all Gambians to achieve Vision 2016. That is at the latter end of the food chain, of course, which is consumption. To cook and eat what they catch and grow and catch what they eat. It also enables and encourages Gambians to eat natural, original and healthy foods to ensure a healthy living, thus avoiding the diseases of lifestyle that we experience in these days.
She also thanked the participants for taking up the challenge, whilst assuring them of government support. The winners of the various categories were later announced, with the West Coast region getting top spot in the Berechin, Mahal, Findi, Fufu and Domona categories. They were followed by Banjul, who also grabbed top spot in the Chere, Kaldu and Sulumbala. The Central River region also took first in the Berechin and Plazas categories, while the North Bank region, Lower River region and Kanifi municipality each took first in the Super Kanya, Findi and Chu categories. The winners each received a cash prize of $10,000, with the runners-up receiving $5,000 each. 11 other participants in the special dish categories each received a cash prize of $4,000, whilst the remaining participants got consolation prizes of $2,000 each for taking part in the national competition. Organizers praised the conduct and spirit of the competition, which passed off successfully. The hope now is that such a competition will become an annual national event, serving as a platform for the country's finest cooks to showcase their skills. Mo Rujalo, GRTS News.
Well, highlights of the cooking competition will air later, inshallah. The Ministry of Transport, Works and Infrastructure would like to inform the general public that the foundation stone for the construction of the Somita Sere Gambisara Road is to be laid on Saturday, 8 August 2015 at Gambisara. This auspicious occasion is expected to be graced by Her Excellency, the Vice President, Dr. Ajah Aissatou Njie Seydi, to be accompanied by Cabinet Ministers, Permanent Secretaries, National Assembly members, the Governor of Upper River Region, heads of government institutions, as well as senior government officials, and all are cordially invited. A brain drill exercise for students in selected upper basic schools to promote the speaking and the official introduction of French as a compulsory subject in the school curriculum recently ended at the Region 1 Education Directorate. Louis Mendy has more on the initiative championed by the French Programs Coordination Office of the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education.
Kanifi East Upper Basic School was the winner of the French quiz competition recently structured by the French Programs Coordination Office of the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education and closely contested by 9 upper basic schools. The idea was to boost students' public speaking confidence as part of the ongoing efforts in promoting the speaking and the compulsory teaching and learning of the French in Gambian schools starting in the early grades.
In the international arena, you don't need only one language. You need 3 languages. But unfortunately, the Gambia, we have only one opportunity to have English. The opportunity they gave them is the second language is French. But they are not taking it very seriously. And it's important for the international arena for somebody to have 3 languages. So it's important. I'm urging the government to help the Gambian students to have even the 3 languages, even is French, English, and Spanish or Chinese. Right? But we are surrounded by some francophone countries, and it's very difficult for us to challenge them. The Senegalese, take the example of the Senegalese. They speak 7 languages at the university.
8 other schools which competed in the brain drill exercise included Latrikunda Sabiji, Latrikunda, and St. Augustine's Upper Basic Schools as runners-up.
You will all agree with me that French is a very important international language, and as a result, it is also spoken in most of the countries surrounding Gambia. Because if we look at our cluster, Senegal, Guinea, Conakry, Ivory Coast, and others, especially in our education program interventions, the cluster in which we belong is only Gambia, that is an Anglophone country.
The understanding of French as the world's second official language would give Gambians a competitive edge for job opportunities in the international market against others who only have English as their official language.
I have gathered that a series of activities have been planned to mark this occasion. And some of them include the competition that you students will be engaged in. Now, you people are very, very lucky. And like one of the previous speakers said, you are a lucky generation in that the opportunity you had, if we had it then, we would be somewhere else, I can say. So I will urge all of you to make best use of the opportunity that's been given you and that was denied us during our time.
The French language pilot project exists only in 14 upper basic schools countrywide. But the ambitious project is constrained by limited teaching and learning materials as well as trained teachers. Challenges the Education Ministry through the French Programs Coordination Office is determined to conquer. Louis Mendy, GRTS.
What does it take to address issues regarding skills development and improve employability among youth? That is the key question participants are pondering on at a two-day consultative forum. Winifred Nicole Hadibat reports the event is organized by the Ministry of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology in partnership with the World Bank.
Stakeholders in the promotion of technical and vocational education and training (TVET) are converging to certain areas that need support for the improvement of the sector and other forms of youth acquisition for employment generation. The two-day dialogue is convened by the Ministry of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology.
It is therefore hoped that in these issues would also improve the country's competitiveness and development prospects. With employment identified as a driving force in the country's agenda, we also need labor market-related data, and this ministry, my ministry, has championed in 2012 the labor force survey, which set the parameters on how to really assess unemployment and other related indicators.
Organizers said skills development is critical to the achievement of national and international blueprints, such as the Vision 2020 and 2016, PAGE, MDGs, and the Post-2015 Development Agenda. The attainment of these targets requires concerted efforts and commitment of all stakeholders, particularly youths, women, CSOs, private sector, among others, hence this convergence.
The Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education is currently working with the Ministry of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology on a new TVET strategy that will cut across the two sectors. This is important because our policies place huge significance on refocusing, strengthening and promoting TVET from basic to higher education, and the need to eradicate the poor perception of TVET in society is critical and necessary for the socio-economic advancement of this country.
Supported by the World Bank, under the skills development component of the Growth and Competitiveness Project, the seminar is such a one the nation needs as an emerging economy.
The World Bank is going to start preparing an important area in the Gambia. We decided to include this intervention to the next competitiveness project because many youth in the Gambia are inactive, and according to a report, almost half of the youth in the Gambia are inactive, meaning they are neither in the education or in the labor market. So to enhance the economy in the Gambia, we realize it's very important to include youth in the education or work or both. So perhaps one option is for those who are interested in going back to education but they miss the opportunity of having good education, they could have a second chance perhaps in education, or we try to have intervention to include youth in the labor market.
But how far has the Ministry of Higher Education gone in the strengthening of TVET?
Significant progress has been registered in the upgrading of the Juluy Skill Training Center to serve as a regional training hub when fully operationalized. Similarly, His Excellency the President of the Republic of the Gambia, Sir Professor Dr. Alhaji Yahya Jammeh, has given approval for the Ndemban Skill Training Center to be transformed into a polytechnic institute. This will go a long way to finishing the unfinished business that the TVET institutions that have done so well, like GTI and the partner sisters, whether in the public and private sector, to train quite a number of Gambians, young Gambians, but they are yet to be taken to the, at least a minimum level of a BSc or BA level in technical education.
The hope is that the 2-day synergy will help provide a clear roadmap that is designed consultatively with key partners, as well as review existing reports in the TVET revitalization program. Reporting for GRTS News, I am Winifred Nicole Hodibat.
The Independent Electoral Commission wishes to inform all political parties to collect copies of the acts assented to by His Excellency the President of the Republic from the Election House, Batil Hadin Highway, from Monday to Thursday, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. The Jammeh Foundation for Peace has been active in providing vital services to the population through its diverse humanitarian interventions. In a bid to complement the foundation's efforts, Dr. Vincent Moses Tien Kalala, an international consul from Sierra Leone, on Tuesday presented a check for $40,000 to officials of the foundation. Modu Bajan tells us more on that.
Perhaps a small gift from him, but a big one to the Jammeh Foundation for Peace. Dr. Vincent Moses Tien Kalala, an international consul from Sierra Leone based in the Gambia, on Tuesday presented a check amounting to $40,000 to the Jammeh Foundation for Peace.
I'm not good in reading intentions, but I believe that this foundation was established to set an example in an effort to harness the energy, imagination, and the initiative of people who care about others in promoting a culture of peace, brotherhood, and sustainable development.
For Dr. Kalala, President Jammeh is one of a kind among world leaders, adding that this has convinced him enough to contribute to nation building.
It also aims to inspire society to learn from the architect of this foundation, Dr. Professor Yahya Jammeh Babili Mansa, His Excellency the President of the Gambia.
Considered as a wonderful move, Dr. Kalala promised to partner with the foundation in the propagation of peace as a way forward in building the nation.
As a peace lover, I am proud to make a donation as a small contribution and a personal gift to Jammeh Foundation for Peace.
James Bolaje Robert, a friend of the benefactor, is equally moved by Dr. Kalala's philanthropic gesture.
When he spoke to me yesterday, I said that would be a good gesture to support the Jammeh Foundation for Peace. So we went around looking for the office, but unfortunately, they said the office has moved up to IEC, the old IEC office. So immediately we came up here and then we made all the arrangements for us to come this morning to do the presentation. I hope this will continue, and I'm sure this is an impact to other people. At least it's a signal for other people to make such contributions for the Jammeh Foundation for Peace.
The Deputy Executive Director of the Jammeh Foundation for Peace, Samina Azam, hailed Dr. Vincent's donation as a noble gesture. Azam, however, thanked their patron and prayed for their relationship to continue for the betterment of the Jammeh Foundation for Peace and Gambians at large.
What Dr. Kala was saying about the check is much appreciated on behalf of the President, Dr. Alhaji Yahya AJ Jammeh. And it's not, when he says a small amount, it's not a small amount. We're here for peace. We're here for the people. So when people say, what would you like of us? We don't say large amounts. It's the heart and the head. The heart to know where it is in the right place for peace. And the head say, how can I help? So whether it's 40,000, 1,000, 10,000, it doesn't matter. Even 100 diocese, because every diocese will go somewhere, every boathood goes somewhere. So what we are here for peace is not just on the large international scale or national scale, it's for the people in the streets, for the people in the rural areas, and that's what counts at Jama Foundation. The peace is from the ground level all the way to the top. So yes, we're establishing new partnerships, new friends. We made friends today, and we will continue, inshallah.
Described as a worthy move, Dr. Vincent Moses Tien Kalala's initiative could be very instrumental in complementing the efforts of the Gambian leader in the overall development of the country by such interventions as the Jame Foundation for Peace. Modu Bajan, GRTS News.
Well, time now to take our first break. The news continues in just a moment.
The Gambia National Petroleum Corporation, GNPC, the Gambia's best and leading provider of quality petrol and diesel oil of European standard for your vehicles. GNPC is Gambia's very owned company providing various services ranging from car wash, lube bay and tire services. Walk into any GNPC branch and purchase quality and genuine products such as engine oil for diesel and petrol, blades, tires, spark plugs, radiator coolants, injector cleaners, and many more. Buy any of our products at any of our GNPC branches and get something changed for free. At GNPC, we also do bulk selling for clients with fuel tanks at their premises. Our branches are located at Fajara, Banjul, Bundung, Abuko, Brikama, Soma, Farafenye, Basse, and Bansang. In observance of the July 22nd anniversary celebrations, GNPC is pleased to announce a discount of $1 on each liter of petrol or gas oil purchased, effective Tuesday, 21st July 2015, for a period of 30 days. For more information, visit our website on www.gnpc.gm. GNPC, Nyokomom.
Welcome back, and over now to some stories making headline news around the world. Representatives of the 28 states of NATO have declared a strong solidarity with Turkey over its air attack on ISIS militants. Now, NATO's show of solidarity came as President Erdogan of Turkey said it was no longer possible to continue his country's approach. We have more in this report.
Sirnak, in Turkey's far southeast. Most people who live here are Kurds. The situation is tense. The Turkish military units based here are on high alert. In recent days, the conflict between the PKK and the Turkish government has escalated. Today saw a blast on a gas pipeline in Agri province. Ankara blames the PKK. Last Friday, Turkish forces launched a series of airstrikes against Islamic State in Syria and Kurdish bases in northern Iraq. That despite the fact that the Kurds also oppose IS. Turkey's President Recep Tayyip Erdogan today announced that the peace process with the Kurds was over. I don't think it's possible to continue a peace process with those who take aim at our national security and brotherhood in this country. NATO met for an emergency session. Representatives of NATO member states discussed the instability on Turkey's borders.
It is right and timely that we hold this meeting today to address the instability on Turkey's doorstep and on NATO's border. NATO is following developments very closely, and we stand in strong solidarity with our ally Turkey.
Both IS and the PKK have attacked Turkish troops in recent days. So far, Turkey has responded without outside help. Now it's up to NATO to decide whether this is a case for the alliance's mutual defence clause. Ankara has made it clear that its strikes against the PKK are set to continue.
North Korea is saluting its veterans of the Korean War. Fighting came to an end 62 years ago this week, and Kim Jong-un is paying tribute to those who fought. The top North Korean military official, meanwhile, told veterans that the U.S. would be wiped out if it fails to remember what they described as the lessons of its defeat. As CNN's Will Ripley reports, North Korea's ambassador to China also had a message to convey.
When North Korea holds a news conference, it's such a rare event, it's almost newsworthy in itself. But journalists who turned up were hard-pressed to find any new headlines from Pyongyang's ambassador to China, Ji Chae-ryong. The diplomat ran through the usual litany of anti-American rhetoric, blaming the U.S. for what he calls an increasingly violent situation on the Korean peninsula, expressing outrage over next month's annual joint military drills between South Korea and the U.S., insisting North Korea is a nuclear power under constant threat of attack from the United States, with no plans to disarm. The DPRK is not interested at all in a dialogue to discuss the issue of making us freeze or dismantle our nukes unilaterally first, the ambassador says, a clear reference to the nuclear agreement with North Korean ally Iran, the deal only adding to Pyongyang's isolation as sanctions cripple its economy. On Monday, North Korea celebrated what it calls Victory Day, the 62nd anniversary of the truce ending the Korean War. Supreme Leader Kim Jong-un seen on state media thanking veterans for defeating the U.S. aggressors, standing under a huge portrait of his grandfather Kim Il-sung, the founder of North Korea, bearing a remarkable and many say deliberately cultivated resemblance to the young leader. Portraits of his father and grandfather line the walls of the embassy in Beijing, just like every North Korean government building. You may have noticed the ambassador was sitting directly under the portraits of the late supreme leaders, and that's no accident. That is protocol in North Korea whenever an official or dignitary is speaking. Our press conference lasts less than 30 minutes. A 22-minute statement followed by 3 questions, of which only 1 is answered. Then it's time to go. We're certainly being watched very closely as we film inside the embassy, and that's very similar to what it's like when you're actually reporting in North Korea as well. Clearly, the idea of any media being here, especially Western media, makes government leaders a bit uncomfortable. And so they're watching our every move, and they carefully guard the kind of access that we get. But just being able to go through these gates, being able to see the inside of the embassy is still quite rare. We leave the North Korean embassy just as we came, with no new insight, no new answers, no wiser as to what exactly is going on in one of the most opaque nations on Earth. Will Ripley, CNN, Beijing.
Time now to take a second break. We'll be right back. Welcome back, and over now to some sports news. Gambian Football Federation officials are reacting to the news of Saturday's World Cup draw in St. Petersburg, Russia. The Gambia is set to face off with Southern African state Namibia in a doubleheader in early October. GFF second Vice President Ibu Fai spoke to Mamadou Diallo about the draw and a lot more issues. Take a listen.
How was the news received at the football house?
Well, it was a welcome news to us, because we knew the opponents we were supposed to play against, all of them, and before that we were able to look at each one, their strengths and weaknesses, and also try to see, anyone that we are scheduled to play against, we'll know how to face that opponent. So getting Namibia give us the opportunity to play with a team that we already know.
When the draw was being made in St. Petersburg, when fingers were crossed as to which country the Gambia is going to meet, was it the sort of draw that like we were hoping for or we were praying for, Namibia?
No, I think we did not have a choice in the draw, because we are among the 23 lowest teams. That is, we are among the rock bottom teams in international football, and any team that we played against will be a team higher than us. So any team from that group is tough, and we know that it's a tough opponent. But looking at Namibia, and they are far stronger than us, a very good team, but it's a winnable match, because if you look at our history against them, we played against them in the Gambia, we defeated them 3-1. And they defeated us in Namibia 1-0, and And if you look at that past history that we can use as a benchmark, I think is a good draw for us. We just have to work on and prepare for it. But our concentration now after the draw is the Cameroon match.
So it's going to be a busy few months for the Gambia Football Federation. Tell us, how are you preparing for all these fixtures, September, October, and probably November?
We have started preparing since our match against South Africa. After that match and the match in Senegal, we sat down and analyzed all these matches, our engagement, the areas that we have done well, the areas that need improvement, and the areas that we are very poor. And from that, we use that to prepare for our match, for our coming matches. It's a tough engagement, but we have registered, we will participate. We have started organizing. The organizing committee have met and look at all those things and advise the executive. The executive also have met and start to put things in place. The coach was here just last week and left on Saturday to put some of the few structures in place, looking for accommodation because he have to come back and settle down. And now he's gone back to Europe. He will go and visit all the players in their respective clubs and make them feel happy, feel important, feel that we value them. And they were supposed to travel with the GFF, but he is a short period, so we allow him to go alone. And then the other logistics like the stadium we are trying to get the stadium pitch fully ready. We just had an expert here on Saturday who came and advised us, and they will be coming back to work on the surface to make sure the field is up and coming. And the other things are now we are working on all those things. So I think we are on track with the preparation. We also met with the government, because they are the most important, stakeholder in this, and come up with how do we face all these challenges, both financially and technically, so that we're able to get good results in the Gambia.
Well, GFF senior official Ibu Faye there with our sports producer Mohamed S. Jala. And before we go, a quick check at our main headlines once again. Putting culinary skills to test, this first ever nationwide traditional Gambian cooking competition has ended in the president's home village of Kanilai, with many winners going home with hefty cash prizes. Participants from various sectors in the country's higher education are meeting to devise ways of improving skills development among the country's teeming youth population. Turkey's NATO allies have thrown their weight behind Ankara's bold offensive against Islamic State militants, days after President Recep Tayyip Erdogan's government began air raids against ISIS targets and on areas controlled by Kurdish fighters in Iraq and Syria. And rattling the war rhetoric, North Korea's reclusive leader Kim Jong-un has warned the United States of severe consequences as the communist state marks 52 years since the end of the Great Korean War. And that was all in this edition of the News at 8. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again at 2200 hours. Till then, enjoy the rest of our programs.